Hey guys, welcome to the next module in the Craft Fair e-course. Today we're going to talk about getting accepted to juried shows and how to get accepted to shows in general. So the difference between juried and non-juried shows is that for juried shows you typically have to be accepted and go through a more lengthy application process. They're going to want to see photos of your items that you're going to be selling, and they're likely going to want to see photos of what your booth setup is going to look like. When you're doing a juried show, you can expect the table fee to be maybe a little bit higher than one that's non-juried, and they usually accept only handmade items. It just depends on the show, but a lot of the times I've noticed they don't want people who sell, essential oils or other MLM companies. The price for entering a show, it can be anywhere from free and $25 and up. Usually I pay between $25 to $50. The more expensive ones tend to be about $150. I don't really like to do those ones only because I sometimes worry that I won't make my money back. But if I do about the $50 or less, that seems to be working really well for me. With juried shows, it can actually be a lot harder to get accepted just because there's so much competition, especially if it's a well-known show in your town that they have year after year. They typically give the spots first to previous vendors before they'll accept new applicants. And if you sell in sort of a niche that's kind of saturated, like for me, I sell jewelry, and that tends to be a very saturated product, then you're less likely, I think, to get invited just because they don't want, half of the tables there to be jewelry or soap or whatever. So keep that in mind when you're creating your projects and when you're filling out your application. I've applied to some of the big shows in my town, and I was declined because I hadn't actually done a show yet. So I didn't have any examples of my work or a booth to show them. So we're going to go over that in a minute. The first thing we're going to talk about is filling out your application. So when you're filling out your application, you want to make sure you're very thorough, that you write neatly, and that you fill in all of the required information. This seems like it would be kind of a no-brainer, but you would be surprised how many people are just kind of lazy and don't fill it out properly. If you are applying to a show that you know there's going to be a lot of competition to get into, one thing that you can do to increase your chances is if you know anyone who already sells at that show or is going to be, you can ask them to introduce you to the person running the show. So that could be on Facebook or by email. If you could just get sort of a referral from them, that'll really help increase your chances. And just have them say, hey, my friend so-and-so is applying. She makes this product. I think it would be a really great addition to the show. Please look out for her application, and I would love it if you could include her too. So that's one thing that you can do. You can also email them directly yourself and just introduce yourself and try to explain why they should accept you into the show. What do you do that's unique? What kind of product do you have that is going to make people excited and want to buy it? You really want to talk yourself up, and don't be afraid to really talk about what makes you special or unique. The next thing we're going to talk about is photos of your products. So a lot of the times when you're filling out an application, they're going to want to see photos and examples of your work. So this is not something that you should just do willy-nilly and quickly. You really want to take your time and make a really nice, gorgeously styled photo. Take a photo of a few different products. The more unique, the better, especially if you're selling something like jewelry where there's going to be a lot of different vendors selling jewelry. You really want to show that what you have is unique and special. If you can, it's really helpful to also take a picture of your booth. If you've never done a show before and you don't have a picture of your booth, you should try to set one up. You can even just do it in your living room. Get a long table, put a tablecloth on it, and show how you would present yourself at the craft show. You want to make sure that you look professional, that your photos look professional, and that they know that you are a legitimate business. You are selling quality items that people are going to want. If you already have a website, that's great. You should send them a link to it so they can see all your work. If you have like an Etsy shop that has people who have written reviews, that's great too, because it shows that you're professional and that you're somebody that they can trust. So your homework for this module is to take some photos of your products and have them in a file on your computer. So just take a few snaps. You can do it with your iPhone, but take some time and make sure that what you're selling looks absolutely beautiful and it's a great representation of yourself and your shop and your items and why they should choose you. And keep those on your computer. That way when you're filling out forms for vendor events, maybe you've got some that you've already applied for or looked for, like we talked about in the last module. You can quickly just go to that file on your computer and you've got photos there waiting for you. So good luck taking your photos, and we'll see you next time.